We absolutely loved Girl Meets World, but the show came with a bunch of controversies and reports on cast tensions. Today, we'll explore some of the most hidden secrets you never knew about. Watch this video to the end to see how the show accidentally changed rock history. If this is your first time here, then make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to The Things. Today, we are going to take a look at 10 dark secrets Girl Meets World tried to hide. Girl Meets cast tensions. One of the things that people liked most about Girl Meets World was the positive relationship that the show's stars seemed to have with each other. There were a lot of social media posts showing them being friendly and goofing off with one another. But like with all workplaces, there were some tensions. One such time happened in 2017 when Uriah Shelton, who plays Josh Matthews, offered a bit of political opinion online. He said that he didn't think that there was any need for feminism in modern society. Now, Rowan Blanchard, who plays Riley Matthews, has been pretty outspoken about that sort of thing in the past, so that might be why a lot of Girl Meets World fans swarmed around Rowan's Instagram account to tell her to do something about it. Rowan told her social media followers that what Uriah said wasn't worth a minute of her time, but it seems the damage was done. After the show was sadly canceled, Uriah tried to send Rowan a text message, but it came back as undelivered. It seems that there was a strong possibility that Rowan had changed her cell number, but had neglected to tell Uriah about it. We think perhaps Uriah should have thought before he spoke. Girl Meets adult humor. While Girl Meets World is predominantly a show for kids and teenagers, there are always going to be some older viewers. And the writers are adults, of course, so we think that they must have set themselves a kind of challenge. And that challenge was to see if they could get more adult-oriented jokes in the show. For instance, in the episode Girl Meets Boy, Riley and her classmates have to go to a public library to do some research. Riley appears to be a bit shy about speaking to Lucas, but the librarian says she should look in any book to figure out what she should do next. Any book apart from the one she's reading, that is. And in another, the students are in art class. It looks like they are going to be drawing fruit when Farkle barges in. He says that people shouldn't draw fruit, but should get ready to draw 48 pounds of nasty. Pretty gross, right? Those are just two of the more adult-rated jokes that the writers put into Girl Meets World. We think that if you like the show, you'll know more that you could add to the list. Girl Meets Economics. Girl Meets World was a show that, like its predecessor, Boy Meets World, was not afraid to tackle some pretty big topics. One of the biggest topics that it dealt with was that of money, how we make it, and how we manage it. In the episode Girl Meets Crazy Hat, the pupils at John Quincy Adams School had to split up into two groups. What Corey, the teacher, thought that they should learn was about different types of business. So one half was a company who was focused on making money, and the other half was a business whose goal was to make people happy. Now, we think that that was the sort of thing that could end up being a political statement, and we think that there isn't much more divisive than politics, right? The subject of money and finances raises its head again in the episode Girl Meets Money. This is the episode where we see Farkle getting really stressed out because his father has made a pretty risky investment, and he's scared that his family is going to end up going broke. Pretty dark stuff for what is usually considered to be a kid's show, don't you agree? Girl Meets Coming Out. One of the best things about Girl Meets World is that it was willing to talk to kids about things that a generation before would not have been talked about. And that level of honesty seems to have made her way down the cast of the show too. That seems to be especially true when it comes to Rowan Blanchard, who stars as Riley Matthews. Back when she was 14 in early 2016, Riley made a big announcement on Twitter. She told her fans and the world at large that she was a member of the LGBT+ community. That is a pretty big move for anyone to make, let alone a teenager. She was already amazing, but what she did took a lot of courage as a Disney actress. We all know Disney's not exactly famous for being progressive with its characters. Rowan is also a role model for young people who might struggle with coming to terms with their sexuality. But it isn't just that. While she came out, she also said that it was important that the LGBT+ teenagers were represented. However, while we have seen characters from the LGBT+ community in other shows, we must admit that it left us kind of disappointed. It's sad that Girl Meets World never featured any LGBT+ characters on the show. Girl Meets High Heels. A big part of being a young woman is finding your own fashion sense. One of the things we like about Girl Meets World is that the characters generally dress how you'd expect a young woman to dress. However, that doesn't mean that the show's costumes have been without controversy. In the episode Girl Meets Popular, we see Riley dressing up in an attempt to be cool. Part of her outfit is a pair of shiny, red leather high-heeled boots. While Riley managed to look pretty cool and pretty dorky at the same time, this attracted a fair amount of controversy. The argument went that Riley, as a middle school pupil, should not have been wearing high heels. This was because they would have been uncomfortable and would have caused her to possibly injure herself. One commentator pointed out that there was no way that she would have been able to walk as effortlessly as she did in the episode, especially if this was her first time in heels. However, the show's writers cottoned onto this and even had Riley refer to it. In the episode Girl Meets Mr. Squirrels, she said, "I wore high heels once." People have responded. That's a pretty cool way of owning the controversy. Girl Meets Feeney. One of the biggest issues that any successful TV spin-off or sequel faces is the audience wants to know what might have happened to the original characters. This was certainly true in Girl Meets World. While the new generation of fans loved the new generation of characters, people who grew up with Boy Meets World wanted to see how the people from that show had turned out. That was perhaps most true of George Feeney. He was the teacher who Cody and Topanga turned to when they needed advice back when they were growing up in the 1990s. Yes, Cody's role as a teacher in Girl Meets World meant that he was sort of like a surrogate for Mr. Feeney's character, but for old school fans, it wasn't the same. However, Mr. Feeney appeared in Cody's imagination in the pilot episode, and while that was good, old school fans wanted more. They got what they wanted, but they had to wait until the second season when William Daniels' character returned. Anyone watching the scenes he appeared in will have found out exactly why George Feeney has a place in the hearts of Boy Meets World fans. He certainly has a place in ours. Girl Meets Topanga's Past. For the generation that grew up with Boy Meets World, Topanga was a major part of our lives. She was the main female character in the show and Cody's girlfriend. A big part of why she made such a strong impression on us is because of her excellent portrayal by actress Danielle Fishel. When she returned, she was married to Cody and had a daughter named Riley, but we loved her just as much, if not more than before. However, what you may not have known is that Danielle has written an autobiography. It's called Normally This Would Be Cause for Concern, Tales of Calamity and Unrelenting Awkwardness. And it's pretty good, but did you know that she nearly didn't play Topanga? She said that it's because she spoke too quickly at the audition and ended up being cast in a smaller part. However, when the original first choice for Topanga didn't quite cut it, Danielle redeemed herself and was cast as the character that made her famous. She also dated NSYNC member Lance Bass, and she shared her first kiss both on and off screen with Ben Savage. Those are just some of the pretty cool stories in Danielle's book. We didn't know about them, and we'll bet you didn't either. Girl Meets Feminism. Sometimes actors can represent their characters so well on camera, the world doesn't really know what they're actually like in real life. However, that's a thing that is definitely not true about Girl Meets World star Rowan Blanchard. She is clearly a very intelligent, smart, and outspoken young lady, and we like her all the more for it. Something that she hasn't shied away from is speaking out as a feminist. She has even said that she prefers working for female directors because they will understand what women and girls want to see on screen. She says that it's about the female gaze, not the male gaze. Rowan also said she started to identify as a true feminist by watching the news and always keeping up to date on current affairs. She also said that the Harry Potter actress Emma Watson, who also broke through at a young age and is a modern-day feminist icon, is someone she looks up to. Her definition of feminism is that it should get rid of the structures that push people out to the margins, and she wants her work to reflect this. Although Disney is becoming more and more progressive, you have to admit that it still lacks the gender equality approach in the majority of its shows. Girl Meets Cancellation. They say that all good things must come to an end. Even so, when it turned out that Girl Meets World was being canceled by the Disney Channel after just 3 seasons, it came as a pretty big blow. We absolutely loved the show, and we have a feeling that you did too. While it looked like it might just move stations, it couldn't find a new home. But it wasn't just us, the viewers, who were upset. Both the show's writers and its stars were seriously saddened by the news. Both Rowan Blanchard and Sabrina Carpenter admitted to shedding a few tears when they heard the news. The sad thing is, we don't really know why the show got given the boot. It was always going to be a big ask for it to live up to the place in popular culture that Boy Meets World had, but we think that it was getting there. And it wasn't as if it had terrible ratings either. It was a pretty popular show. We think that it certainly had the sort of potential to go on and become what Boy Meets World was back in the day. We are just sad that it never got the opportunity, and we wish it could be brought back. We think you do too. Girl Meets Nostalgia. The thing with spinning off a show as beloved as Boy Meets World is that you are always going to have people who are cynical. While a lot of people will be excited about the new thing, there'll be nearly as many people who want the original show to stay where it was because they loved it so much. And when Girl Meets World was announced, that was something that happened. One bizarre fact that Girl Meets World had involved a Canadian punk band called Topanga. They realized that their name would have a totally different connotation, so they pretty much had to change it. However, However, that was not before they posted an angry message to their fans, accusing the Disney Channel of ruining their childhoods. However, there is a happy ending to that. Not only did Girl Meets World become a success, but Topanga the band changed their name to Pup, toured across the globe, won awards for their music, and ended up being hailed by those in the know as one of the best bands in the world. So really, everybody won. But were there any secrets and controversies that you think we might have missed out? Let us know and leave a comment. And that's all for 10 Dark Secrets Girl Meets World Tried to Hide. We hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to The Things.